Hello, I'm Dave Secor. Today I'd like to introduce a survey project upon which we are just embarking off the coast of Maryland, emphasizing both design and practical elements of our first year at work. Our focus is on fisheries rather than fish biology, trying to better understand how key fisheries in Ocean City, Maryland may be impacted and adapt to planned offshore wind energy development. I wish to acknowledge U.S. Wind, who is funding this long-term study. Here is the related project area, about 17 miles east of Ocean City, Maryland. U.S. Wind has just published its construction and operating plan. The project envelope includes 121 18-megawatt turbines and 4 transmission substations. Black sea bass, the subject of our study, support important recreational and pot fisheries. Our goal was to evaluate the impact of the reef effect, that is, aggregation effects proximate to subfoundations, and then the spillover effect, that is, overall increases of abundance occurring in the project area. We also sought to engage strong representatives of the Ocean City fishing community sectors. In the past, I've introduced the idea of building gradients into survey designs. Now I've got to live by my own words. To review, before and after gradient designs build on Bakke design principles. In Bakke, we are trying to control for temporal effects unrelated to the impact by looking at the differences between impact and control sites before and after the impact. In BAG, or before-after gradient designs, we seek to understand the underlying function of the impact, assuming, as shown here, that it varies with distance from the impact. I want to emphasize, though, that these two design types need not be mutually exclusive. Pot surveys, or trap surveys, lend themselves to gradient designs because we can arrange pots at varying distances from the subfoundation. In the schematic below, I show how we arrange 15 pots to detect both reef and spillover effects, which are expected should aggregation behaviors diminish with distance from the subfoundation. Note here also that we are testing ropeless gear and using one-day soaks. An emerging issue with so many monitoring projects coming online are impacts to resource and protected species, which we should seek to minimize. In the map inset, note that the first project area to be built out is the most distant offshore, named Marwin, corresponding to the red turbine locations. This is our project survey area. South of the project area, note the boundary area for our control sites. Here are the pot survey hypotheses diagram. Let's start at the bottom. To build a design, we must first propose an effect size. Here, 10-fold increased catch rates for the reef effect and 50% increased catch rates for the spillover effect. The reef effect is specified to the first 6 pots, that is 120 meters or less, and is tested for both control versus project areas and for before, during, and after periods, that is during construction and after construction, within the project area. The spillover effect is specific to the remaining 9 pots, that is greater than 120 meters, and compared similarly between and within regions. Gradient functions shown on the right are considered as both changes in form and in variance for the project area between baseline construction and after periods. Here are some initial pot survey results for our trial year. This is done in Leaflet, a wonderful tool that allows readers to zoom in and observe spatial information at dynamic resolutions. You can see in red our project area and the southern control area depicted as green circles indicating our targeted site deployments. Zooming in on Site 7, we can see the vessel deployment track in pink and marked waypoints for each rig's start and end blocks and flags. I was pleased that a single-day soak in baitless pots resulted in high incidence by black sea bass, albeit catch rates were low, overall about 1.5 fish per pot, and not really varying systematically between our far and near pots. An important goal for our trial year was to get variance estimates to support power analysis and our survey design. We can evaluate whether we will have sufficient power for our expected reef effect, 10-fold increase, and spillover effect, 50% increase, through simulating a Backy experiment. Initial simulations indicate that we will have sufficient power with 4 project rigs and 2 control rigs per monthly survey, which is good because this corresponds to 90 pots, the maximum we can safely carry on our fishing vessel. That black sea bass are attracted to subfoundations is all but settled science. What we wish to understand here is how this will impact the recreational fishery, which currently relies on wreck structures. We will do this by comparing catch rates between established fishing wrecks and newly in place turbines. 2 wreck structures occur in or close to the project area, and we will use these as controls in our Backy design. This leaflet shows our early June survey. Standardizing effort can be tricky, and we tested this in our trial year and arrived at 15 3-minute drops. That is, fishing for 3 minutes until something is caught with standard charter fishing rigs, then summing by sight and angler. Controlling for angler experience will be important, as well as for weather conditions. In this leaflet, you can see how well the experienced charter captain maneuvered the boat so we could repeatedly drift over the target turbine site in red. Catch rates are shown for the control reef site. It's premature to consider power analysis until the sub-foundations are put in. Our baseline data for turbine sites show no black sea bass catches, just northern sea robin catches. We'll have to wait for those turbines to come in before we conduct power analyses. For both potting and recreational surveys, we will be collecting biological data as well. Hypotheses are biological in nature, but pertain to fisheries in terms of relative abundance and size and sex characteristics of the catch. Wrapping up, it is certainly premature for me to say much about offshore wind impacts on fisheries, but a few suggested take-homes. 1. Be a student of fishers. We have had to learn how to rig our own pot lines, develop feasible survey plans, and wished to ask questions that are important to local fishing communities. Captains Harrington and Stauffer have been invaluable in this regard. Although we have much to learn about how fish will be impacted by offshore wind, we have an obligation as fisheries scientists to target this most impacted community of fishers. We need to employ early and strong survey designs focused on fisheries questions. Start with hypotheses and likely effect size. Doing otherwise can be expensive in terms of resources and result in dueling expectations between scientists and stakeholders. Most important, build in a trial year. I can't tell you how many times Mike O'Brien, my assistant, and I have said, thank goodness we built in this trial year. There are so many things to work out before embarking on a long, expensive 6-year formal Backy plan. Less is more. With so many survey programs, scientists can impact living resources and protected resources. Use power analysis to ensure design efficiencies. And finally, think creatively in how you can engage stakeholders in ongoing survey findings. Here we're experimenting with Leaflet as a way that stakeholders can query survey data and quality. Thank you very much.